I have been living in my van for the past 4 years, but I recently moved out, listed it for sale, bought another one, and I'm going to build a van with all my new knowledge of what is needed to live off-grid in a camper van. And I'm going to start by installing solar panels. Solar is often limited by how much room you have on your roof, and since I bought the Ford Transit extended high roof, I have a couple extra feet to work with, but I also need to leave room for a max air fan, a Starlink, and my skylight. And on top of that, my goal is to have 800 watts of solar on my roof, and that amount of solar is almost unheard of on the roof of a van. But solar is one of the most important parts of a van build, and it powers everything from your fridge to AC unit, heater, and charging everyday appliances. So here's my game plan. Instead of mounting the solar panels to the mounting brackets that came with them, I'm going to be mounting them directly to the cross beams of the roof rack. This will allow me to have no gaps between each of the solar panels to maximize the amount I can put on my roof. And it will also allow me to have a little bit of overhang on either side of the roof rack so that I should be able to get 800 watts of solar on my roof, as well as have room for the Starlink, fan, and skylight. And I actually also need room for this chimney. That's for a fun little secret project that I'll share more about later. And now the next step is finding the best solar panels to put on my roof, and I think I've discovered a solar panel that is gonna completely change the future of van life. This is the first solar panel that works in the shade. Let's install it. I decided to fill up my roof with 800 watts of Optivolt solar panels, the first solar panel that works in the shade. Just like in my old van, I plan to live full-time in this one, and I'm almost always at campsites where there are trees above me. This has really impacted my solar in the past, and even on a fully sunny day, if there are branches shading some of my solar panels, the total output almost drops to 0. Before I put the solar panels on the roof, I thought I would test out how shade resistant it is, so I have a normal solar panel here, and I'm gonna see how it performs in partial shade. I have it hooked up to my Bluetti power bank. With that little antenna shading it, it's at 64 watts. Now we're going to bring a little corner of it to the shade. So with this tiny corner in the shade, it's 38 watts. That's crazy. Okay, now I'm gonna do a little more. Less than a quarter of this panel is in the shade, and it's only producing about 4 watts. So when I'm parked in the forest and I have partial shade on my solar, I basically get no solar input. Now let's hook up an Optivolt panel and see how it performs in the shade. These Optivolt solar panels, on the other hand, utilize technology that virtually stretches the shadows across the entire panel and mimics a direct sunlight scenario that is slightly dimmer. This unlocks up to 60% more power in real-world shading conditions and will allow me to have power at all my favorite campsites in the forest. Okay, we're gonna start with full sunlight again. So let's see how much this brings in. So in full sunlight, this is producing 57 watts. So let's bring it in towards the antenna. Now it's producing 60 watts. And then we're gonna bring it even more in the shade. Now it's producing 37 watts, and I'm gonna bring it even more in the shade. So this solar panel is producing about 30 watts with a quarter of the panel covered in shade, whereas the last one produced about 4. The first step to installing these solar panels is unboxing them. In each kit, there's mounting hardware and T-harnesses to connect the panels in parallel, along with 2 MC4 adapters and 2 MC4 combiners. The next step was to prepare for the installation. Oh my gosh, it looks so pretty. I'm gonna try to have 3 of these across each side, so we're just gonna test fit it to make sure that it works out before we bolt it all together and finalize it. I'm gonna start installing the solar, but before I do, I need to prep the roof. There is this scratch and I don't want it to rust, so I'm just going to use this Dremel tool and then I'm gonna paint over it. So let's do it. If you want to build a van, maybe go to a climbing gym because it might help. I actually was able to negotiate $1,000 off of this van because of these scratches that have a little bit of rust on them, but I'm going to cover it up, and as long as I get the rust off and repaint it, it should be fine. Okay, I'm going to add a little Rust-Oleum paint and primer now. Ugh, I'm so far from it. I did not position my ladder correctly. It was around this time period where I realized I had made a big miscalculation and I would have to completely change my solar diagram to account for the mistakes. I think we may have a problem. I took this cross beam down and I had been planning on it to go across. I knew it was an overhang, but I guess I just didn't really realize that I won't have any support if this cross beam isn't on the very edge of the solar panels. So here it's okay because you have support throughout the entire panel. But as soon as it goes to the center, this just drops off. That's not good. That's really not good. I might have to replan everything. So I put the solar panel up here where it's going to be setting. It will be resting on this side and it will be supported, but it just won't be bolted in on one side, and I feel like that's not secure enough. It's definitely a lot more complicated trying to install these solar panels when I'm not going about it the way that I'm supposed to with the mounting brackets I was given from Optivolt, but I will be able to have so much more solar this way, so I just have to figure out a solution now that I've realized I made that mistake. Okay, this is the new and updated plan. So in order to fit all of the 800 watts of solar I need, as well as a skylight, fan, chimney, and Starlink, and also account for the thing I discovered about the cross beams, I had to shift back my solar panels and change my Starlink position from the back of the van to in the middle, right beside the fan. It's going to be a tight fit with Starlink, and I actually don't even know for sure if it's going to work, but we're gonna try it out, and fingers crossed, everything fits. This is a very ambitious layout. To account for the edges of these solar panels that aren't supported by the cross beams, I'm actually going to take aluminum angle bracket and I'm going to put that on the inside of the frame so it's not visible and it still looks really sleek, but that's going to support the edges of these two panels. So let's try it out. Now that I had my new plan, I began to execute it. I drilled holes into the cross beams and then used stainless steel bolts, washers, and nylon lock nuts to connect the cross beams to the solar panels. Now that I have all the holes on the crossbeam drilled, I'm going to connect it to the solar panels. So we're gonna have all this connected, and then I'm gonna have to figure out how to get it on the roof, which is a problem for later. Wait, why does this feel, is this longer than the others? I'm doing it loosely at first, and then I'm gonna come in and tighten everything later. Oh, these ones all fell. You could use a regular lock washer for this, but since this is kind of an uneven surface, I ended up using a nylon lock nut. It's just going to end up being more sturdy and hold up with time more. And my struggle right now is that when I put too many of these screws in, it becomes too rigid to put the rest in. I think I'm gonna get a piece of foam, and I think I'm gonna put that underneath all of these and then drop it down at the same time. Let's see how this works. So delicate. You're so cute and you're so happy. So cute and you're so happy. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Fingers crossed, this is the one. Just jammed. The hardest part of this method was trying to figure out how to get the solar array from the ground to the roof of my van once it was assembled. The first 3 solar panels I was able to lift up the ladder with the help of Tori, but the second batch had 5 solar panels, and there was no way we were going to be able to lift that up the ladder. I now have 3 solar panels up and ready, and I'm going to arrange the rest of them. The problem with this next array is that there's a lot of solar panels, and it was already so difficult to lift the last set of 3. So I've decided to bring the party inside, and we're going to utilize this makeshift elevator that I actually helped my dad build years ago to lower it onto my roof. I actually don't know if this is going to work. I've never done anything like it, but it's the only thing I can think of to solve my problems. So with this new reconfiguration of the solar panels, each each solar panel will have enough support, and that is because of these angle brackets that I'm going to add. Without these 2 angle brackets, there are 2 solar panels, I think it's just 2. Yeah, 2 of them that don't have support on the ends, on one end of the solar panel, which is not good. So I'm gonna drill into this and add it. This is the moment of truth. I finished assembling the solar panels and I'm going to lift it up and try to put it on my van.
But there's a thing in the back.
Ooh, I'm scared. I don't know why I'm really scared right now.
Okay, I got it. I got it. You can step back a little too. I'm holding it.
That was scary, but it actually wasn't as hard as I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, it was good to just like get a position.
Yeah, I was just hyping myself up, and then the dents of this kind of stressed me out, but I guess it's not that big of a deal. No, actually for a second there though, it felt really dramatic.
Actually, yeah, because you could only step on the outsides of the van, and that means you would fall to your death.
I even debated getting my climbing harness and strapping up to something, maybe this metal.
Yeah, actually that'd be great.
We found mouse poop up here.
We found a mouse.
No, not a mouse. Mouse poop. There's like 3 different. Wait, what did you say? I'm the mouse? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This is why we climb, huh?
So
the next step is adding butyl tape, which is just going to waterproof it. I also added this for all of the joints on the roof rack. And then I'm going to put this down and I'm going to do another layer of waterproofing with self-leveling caulk. And that should do it. The solar panels are installed and now I'm going to test them with this Bluetti power station. It's a little bit of a cloudy day. It's such a hot day actually. Very humid, but very cloudy. So I'm not expecting to get the full amount, but let's see how much I'm getting. I'm only getting 225 watts. That's to be expected because it's such a cloudy day. But I mainly just wanted to make sure the solar was hooked up correctly and working, and it looks like it is. I am so stoked on these solar panels, and I actually knew you guys would be too. So I'm really excited to share that Optival gave you guys a pretty solid discount code for these 100-watt panels. This is part of their #ShadeHappens launch campaign, and you can get 35% off of the 100-watt panels with my code Sarah35 at checkout. I'll leave the link in the description for any of you who are interested in getting shade-resistant solar, and I'm just so excited to share the rest of this van build with you guys. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!
There is no time.